Hello, YouTube. As the Halloween season continues, my Halloween themed occasional videos continue where I am talking about the movie franchise that I hold dear so much, Halloween. And in today's video, we are talking about something that has been talked about for over 30 years, and that is a proper sequel to Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Of course, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers was the Halloween movie that introduced Jamie Lloyd. It was the Halloween movie that, honestly, in my opinion, outside of the original two movies, had the best version of Michael Myers and is easily one of the best sequels in the entire franchise because it's just such a natural follow-up to Halloween 2. It just feels so natural and it just works. And while Halloween 4, I don't think was intentionally meant to be a 10-year anniversary movie, but it was the first of what would ultimately be now, currently anyway, 3 anniversary Halloween movies. So for it to be the first to do that, I also think plays a big part in it, and just also the time period when Halloween 4 came out in the late 80s, kind of towards the tail end of the prime of the slasher craze of the 80s, but was still extremely successful, well loved, and just an amazing movie with one of the greatest endings, possibly even better than the ending of the original Halloween, with Jamie Lloyd at the top of the stairs. Now, Halloween 5 had the practical impossible task of following up the cliffhanger left at the end of Halloween 4. And in this video today, I'm not talking about a hypothetical modern day sequel to Halloween 4. Rather, we're transporting ourselves back in time and basically doing how I would do a sequel to Halloween 4. Basically how I would have done Halloween 5. So, first things first, we're not going to have Jamie as a killer. That's just not going to work. I mean, the whole point of Halloween 4 was to bring back Michael Myers, and to get rid of Michael Myers in the next movie just doesn't make sense. And I know a lot of people aren't necessarily the biggest fan of Michael and Jamie being psychologically connected, but I mean, you do see hints of it in Halloween 4 before she even meets Michael, so why not just play more into that? So ultimately in this movie, Jamie's reasoning for stabbing her mother is practically the same as it is in Halloween 5. Michael made her do it through a psychic link. The movie would pick up right where Halloween 4 left off, with a firing squad hitting Michael and Michael falling into the shaft. However, we don't see Michael crawling or anything. We don't see Michael going down a daggum river. And by the way, Michael in this movie would look exactly the same as he did in Halloween 4. I'm all one for consistency. Plus, fun fact, this sequel idea will actually take place on the same night as Halloween 4, very similar to, Halloween 2. So Michael, ultimately does still come across the hermit, and he immediately murders the hermit. There is no thorn tattoo reveal on Michael. There's none of that. Michael kills the hermit, and we see the scene coincided with Jamie stabbing her foster mom. Now, she doesn't successfully kill her foster mom, but does, severely injure her, and we ultimately see Jamie taken into custody and taken to the police station. And there's a emotional scene early on in the film where Meeker learns of the death of his daughter, and it's a very emotional scene, reminiscent of Brackett and Annie from Halloween 2. And as the film progresses, the first half of the movie is debate on what to do with Jamie. Dr. Loomis, he doesn't know what to think. I mean, he was ready to shoot Jamie at the end of Halloween 4. Meeker, after his daughter's death, definitely wants to kill Jamie because he wants to avoid another Michael Myers problem. But Dr. Loomis, he looks in Jamie's eyes and he doesn't see the same evil that was in Michael's eyes. He sees that almost as if Jamie's trying to fight the evil within, that there's something else that made Jamie do it. She didn't do it under her own accord like Michael did, whereas Rachel is just so conflicted with emotions that she doesn't know what to do and where to stand on things. And eventually Michael makes his way back into Haddonfield and begins killing people again. Michael goes on a massive rampage, going house to house to house all throughout Haddonfield, murdering people in very brutal and violent ways. This would definitely be like Halloween Kills before Halloween Kills in terms of just how brutal Michael is and how many people Michael kill in the movie. You see Michael wipe out many mobs of the rednecks that we saw in Halloween 4. Police officers aren't even spared. There is just death and blood everywhere. And ultimately, when Meeker and Dr. Loomis hear about all these killings, Jamie has disappeared, and Meeker immediately assumes that Jamie escaped and she is continuing her uncle's work. But Dr. Loomis, not so sure, remembering what Reverend Sayer said in Halloween 4, that evil doesn't die a man's death. Dr. Loomis heads towards the shaft to see if Michael is really dead, as Loomis has a theory that maybe Michael made Jamie do it. Maybe Michael has some sort of psychological hold over Jamie, and he's going to try and make the town think that he's dead and think that Jamie is the one killing people. That way Michael can easily kill people without there being any issues. And ultimately, when Loomis goes to the mine shaft, he finds that Michael's body is gone, and he finds the dead body of the hermit, confirming his worst fear. Michael Myers is not dead. So Dr. Loomis is back on his way towards the main town of Haddonfield while the police continue to hunt Michael. Michael continues to kill. Eventually Michael makes his way to his home and he kills literally everyone on the same block of his own house. And ultimately Michael lures Jamie there using the psychic control that he has over her, and Jamie just follows Michael to the home, and she is followed though by Rachel, and ultimately this sets up the final act as Michael looks to kill Jamie, but Rachel jumps in and attacks Michael. They have a cat and mouse, and ultimately it ends with a very emotional moment where Jamie, ultimately talks, and she's actually able to stab Michael in a scene, and it's a very emotional scene. She stabs Michael, gets Michael down on the ground, stabs Michael with the same scissors she had at the end of Halloween 4. So Michael is down after being stabbed in the neck. She actually speaks for the first time in the movie. Huge emotional moment between her and Rachel, but then all of a sudden Michael gets up and kills Rachel, and it is very, very sad, very, very emotional. And then you have practically the same cat and mouse game we got in the actual Halloween 5 between Michael and Jamie, just minus the Uncle Boogeyman scene, as ultimately when you get to that shrine, that's when Dr. Loomis makes his way to the house and shoots Michael to the ground. Jamie, runs into the arms of Loomis. Michael gets up, and Michael is stalking Dr. Loomis down the steps, through the hallways, and ultimately Loomis, like in the actual Halloween 5, has a trap, drops a net onto Michael, shoots him with tranquilizer darts, grabs the 2x4, beats Michael over and over, yelling, "Die, die, die, Michael." And eventually Michael's brought to the ground, and ultimately Dr. Loomis then pulls out his revolver. He can barely stand up on his own 2 feet. Loomis is clearly physically exerted with no energy left, but Loomis, with the last bit of energy he has, pulls the trigger, shooting Michael point blank in the forehead with the revolver, and you see the bullet enter the front of Michael's forehead, out through the back of his head, and blood is just pouring, and then Loomis falls onto his former patient, and ultimately we see police sirens and lights coming through the Myers house, and we ultimately see Michael Myers' body carried off in a body bag, Dr. Loomis being loaded into an ambulance, and ultimately a state hospital van taking Jamie to get her the mental help that she needs, and she has a emotional moment with her foster parents who are mourning the death of Rachel, and ultimately they forgive her for what she did earlier in the night, recognizing that that was not her and that was Michael. And the movie ends with Jamie having broken the power that Michael had over her. But then, as you expect from this era of Halloween movies, the perfect ending is too good to be true. The coroner's van carrying Michael Myers crashes. Michael kills the 2 guys in the van, and Michael Myers is still alive, setting up Halloween 6. And it would definitely be a very different Halloween 6 from what we got in the real timeline. So in conclusion, even though I am a big fan of Halloween 5, and in my initial version of this idea I just came up with, which really ain't that different, there's just a few little tweaks that I made on this version, or to be honest, a few things that I forgot about from my original version to put in this recorded version, but I digress. I feel this would have been a much better follow-up to Halloween 4. I mean, ultimately, with the way Halloween 4 ended, they should have just let the series rest and probably not done another movie again until H2O, with the way Halloween 4 ended and just had that been the end of the original timeline, but they went and did what they did anyway. And again, Halloween 5, I love that movie. It's a guilty pleasure, but there are some major problems with it, like the entire character of Tina, and, it just, again, even though I like the movie, it's not as good of a follow-up to Halloween 4 as it could have been. So doing a follow-up to Halloween 4 in this way, actually paying off the twist ending to Halloween 4 while also still keeping Michael Myers the main antagonist, I think this would be the best route to go. Plus, this idea for Halloween 5, we ain't got to deal with no Man in Black, Cult of Thorn, or any of that ridiculous nonsense. Therefore, whatever Halloween 6 we would get in this timeline would be very, very different from the Halloween 6 we obviously ended up getting. But with that all being said, I hope you all enjoyed my idea for how I would have made Halloween 5, and I look forward to doing my next video. But with that all being said, God bless you all. Have a great day.